Okay, quick video today on Bitcoin. I wanted to talk about, uh, I covered the breakdown that we had. That was, I believe, late Saturday night, yeah, it was late Saturday night. I think it was the 17th. Yeah, right here. So late Saturday night, I said that was possible that we could get the drop. Um, Pretty much that I posted the video in 2 hours later we got the drop. I said we could have one now. That was showing weakness. We were within this what was really tough resistance to get through. We had just kind of came through it. There was I did say on my last video there was a lot of reports that there was a big power outage in a province in China, and that a lot of those miners had started to move coins, and then they sold off in anticipation of that in order to cover whatever cost they might have had in the next couple of days. I don't know if there was uncertainty in how long they were going to be down, but as far as the hash rate goes on the network, on Bitcoin network, it's already back up to pretty much where it was. But I did say whenever we broke down that 53, 250 specifically, and 53.5, you could have put buys in there to get in. It did go lower than that. We did have a 9. We did get a bounce. I did say that it was probably likely that we would get back down here, but that if we saw right here, right around, let's say 50, it's 54. 949, but I did say 55. So if we got right around 55, we found support, and we had good momentum, that this right here was a dip, and you only had like 10 minutes to buy the dip. So if you didn't have your buys in, your orders in to buy that at a specific target, you weren't going to get it. You could have still got a decent price, but whenever price came down, you would have been about flat. But if you could have gotten that dip at a decent price, you would have still been positive. So we basically got what I said we would get. We had a correction. We did come back down. We found support. We retested this area, and now we're going higher. So I can take this off my chart. And I've seen a lot of, even some very good analysts that I kind of follow sometimes and watch their videos, as far as kind of getting a feel of, I don't go off of what other analysts say, but sometimes it's just nice to hear maybe a different point of view, to maybe you miss something, but you don't really go off of other traders' analysis. I always do my own, but I saw some videos today of them saying that they were bearish, that we could, if we, honestly, it is relatively true that if we broke down below these lower 53s, that, the next area really of support, I mean, still 50s, pretty good support, but they were saying, like mid 40s, still possible. I do have an area here that wasn't, we didn't really consolidate around and retest and have some volume come in. We kind of just went down, did come down a little bit, and then we went up, but we got what I wanted here as far as consolidation retest with a green number of this red 9, and now we're going. So do we have? I'm going to use my CMF to determine, do we have good momentum going up? Dip, and we are seeing some. The CMF is rising. I would like it to break above this 0.8 on the hourly. I think it looks a lot better. Yeah, so that looks way better. You can see on a smaller time frame. The daily is just starting to bounce. This is a reversal candle type structure. So, down, kind of reversal, found support. We can go higher, but this could also be forming maybe a little head and shoulders we won't see until maybe we get back to this upper level, and then if we break down from there. On the weekly, I think we're kind of trending down, but this can trend down and we can still go up. That would give us a bearish divergence. For the longer term outlook, our on balance volume is pretty flat. On the weekly, on the daily, it looks like it's recovering a little bit. 4 hour, still kind of flat. Relatively neutral on the 4 hour. And on the hourly, it's already starting to reverse. So we're getting flat price action with an uptrending indicator showing that we're getting volume coming in, and the majority of it is buyers. So this is the Lucid SAR. This is how I went off to show if that would could buy the dip. Historical price action shows whenever this breaks, especially whenever in a bull cycle. Given that this bull cycle is not over, that's a good time to buy. Set the buy. Now we're up. We can consolidate for a little while. Weekly moving averages The short term is really starting to turn over, but that's not a big concern unless we stay in this lower area of price action, and then we get intermediate, which is the 3 days already starting to turn over. This 8 day, the longer term, the 30 MA on the dailies kind of flattening out. But we really need price action to go up. And what I actually said on the 4 hour is that once we retested this area, that this 30 MA on the 4 hour would probably be resistance, and then it would probably coincide with the Ichimoku cloud. And is it kind of where this cross is? Not so much. It is on one of these other trends for the Ichimoku cloud right here. That's where it's kind of crossing, or that's where it's meeting right now. I thought this would actually come down a lot slower, but that price action was aggressive. So let me clean this up a little bit so we can see one line rather than multiple lines. Yeah, so I was thinking maybe we would go into this cross somewhere right here, but that wasn't a pretty extensive drop. So, but yeah, so we'll see. We'll probably get some resistance here, right around 58. We need we can come down a little bit, maybe to back to 56, and then consolidate and go. But we need to go higher. We need to find some support, and then the hourly strategy on the 30 MA, we're already above it. If we can get, so see this 9 right here, this exhaustion point. So if we can get the hourly with a green number above a prior green number, preferably closing above this 9, really closing above this, say 57.5, that'd be good. Enough momentum to get us back up to the upper 58, 59. And then you would probably see the market kind of change and be like, oh, okay, that was the dip. Did you buy the dip? You'd see all kinds of tweets like that. We can look at the funding rate. Market's still kind of maybe more neutral right now. It is positive, but that's okay. Positive here on the hourly, it's probably positive. Again, I guess it's pretty flat. On the weekly, it's dropped down. This is actually good. The market itself is not really leveraged long, so there's not a lot of risk to the upside. We're just kind of neutral, which is okay. So we can, again, we're kind of still in this, you can see that there's kind of a trend line here. Maybe something like that. So higher lows, higher highs, probably really within like a channel, maybe something like this. I wish that would have been a little bit nicer, but to give 3 touch points, something like that. We'll see. But if this would break on the daily, especially if it closed below maybe this 3 or this 4, that would be an indication of possibly we're going lower. But we won't see until that actually happens, because right now it actually looks like we're recovering from the dip. Don't think that this dip is just going to, we're going to aggressively move up. A lot of the times, whenever you do have drops like that, it takes a couple of weeks. It could be a little bit of frustrating. I mean, if depending on where you got in, I'm just going to pull up the SAR real quick so I can show you what I'm talking about. So here it broke, and it took we had a positive week, then a down week. It basically took 1, 2, 3 weeks to kind of fully recover and then go back up. This one, the dip was a lot. It didn't happen as quickly, but it really only took 1, 2, 3 weeks. So it takes about, looks like 3 weeks, say 2 to 3 weeks for it to recover from a dip like that. Here, this one took a lot longer, because then we consolidated out, but that was in that was like mid 2016. If we're just paying attention to 2017, it looks like it takes about 3 weeks. Right here, we had a large dip that recovered quickly, and we went up. So, do I expect this to be a extremely fast recovering dip? What could happen is we could take 2 to 3 weeks until we actually. So this would be 1, 2, 3, the end of this. So like beginning of May, mid-May, until maybe we get a new all-time high above 65,000 or 64,850 before we actually start to maybe break out again. Let's see what our I know our RSI kind of looked bearish. It did break here, but it's finding support. The daily, finding a little bit of support. This is where the dip was, oversold, and we're recovering nicely on the RSI, even though we're getting some relatively flat price, this is good. So right now, just again, before I was neutral to bearish uh, on it, really more neutral. I think I was neutral to bearish on Doge, and I'll go over that real quick. So I was neutral, hoping that we would get that type of retest with momentum going up, and we did. And now we're just watching it to see how this performs, because yeah, if it does get below these areas, especially on the daily, if we have a daily close, because we can wick down again. But I would only be worried for that to happen if we saw a weakness in the CMF, and right now it's rising. So maybe if we come up here and fail to break, and then we have more leverage long, we see the market start to leverage long here on the funding rate, then maybe I would be a little concerned that maybe getting too optimistic too quickly and that we're going to drop again. But again, dynamic, not static. So we'll see. Right now we're good. We're neutral. I'll pull up Doge. Neutral to better looking outlook. This isn't the end of the cycle, which I don't think it is. How did I pull that up? I think we can pull it up on Binance. And I do think this is going to go back to 20 cents. Oh, wow. It's already at 28 cents. The reason is, again, this moved up so fast. No reason for, there was really no area of support really formed, maybe here around 23. But here we didn't get a back test of this 9. High probability there is one here on the upper end, and I think on the 4-hour you have some as well. Here. This is kind of like a secondary top, and then we go back down. And this is actually saying we're going to go all the way back down to like 14 cents. So got to be mindful. We had a 9 yesterday. So that kind of, if you didn't get to sell here, you could have sold there. So TD sequential 9, exhaustion point, 1 to 4 candle correction, possibly going back up. We'll see how that play actually plays out, because I think if you get a daily close below here, which would be 23, it's likely that you're probably going to test maybe the top of this 3, which is right around 10 cents. There was a report today that I saw that something like almost 1 billion Doge had moved from being Doge that was over 5+ years old had moved from various wallets, 1 billion of them. So right around 300 million, I think, at the time, where price was, I think, more around 33 cents or 34 cents whenever I saw that. So market better be ready to absorb around $300 million worth of Doge. So who's going to provide that liquidity, and where are they going to provide that? We'll see, because that could lead into a cascade of a sell-off, and anything lower than 23, most likely going to get another drop from there. So got to be cautious about trading these pump and dumps. It's got a good story. It's a meme. It's awesome. It's fun. But, if you're up here, you see it, and you're now down 20 or 30%, that's not fun. People made money. Don't let other people, look at the CMF's already crushing down. So just got to be mindful. Usually with trading, if you hear something, you're probably already too late, especially if there's such large returns. This is already in the oversold area on the 4-hour. It's not quite there yet. It can break down more, so you could get a bounce on the hourly. Maybe there's an aggressive sell-off to 20. You get a bounce back up to this 23, 25 area. But I stayed out of this. Yeah, I had bought last July at 0.004, but sold those coins a long time ago. It is what it is, and I'm super happy for everyone who made money. But whenever it runs up like this, whenever you see something worth, I think it was 48 billion, which was larger than like Ford and a bunch of 48 billion. What was it? The market cap was, I know it was higher than Ford, higher than like IBM and Target. It was extremely high, and the run up had been tremendous. So you got to be mindful. Can this go higher? Yeah, it can go higher. Can it hit $1 eventually? Possibly. But right now, it's definitely taking a break, and it'll take some time to reset. And then you got to be brave, right? Everyone loves the story that I put in, 1,200 bucks, and I made 50, 60 grand. But usually, whenever it's down in the dumps like that, there's a lot of risk. So those are always feel good and awesome stories, but you have to ask yourself, would have you taken those risks at those prices? Most likely not. Not many people would have, unless you really understand the space and maybe you know see a good technical setup or have some sort of lead on when Elon Musk is going to tweet about Doge, because those seem to pump the price. So yeah, I mean, if you get to a dollar, again, you still have to be mindful. Doge will probably be worth, it'll be worth somewhere around 130 billion. So that's more than General Electric. That's more than Goldman Sachs, American Express, Total, Raytheon, numerous companies, all for a meme. I mean, people have different risk tolerances. What I say all the time. So manage your risk. If you want to take this trade, um, be mindful of where. Have a plan. At the very least, I'm gonna say have a plan. You don't have to know how to do technical, TA or fundamentals, or follow someone's Twitter to get, or Reddit's forums. Just have an entry, have a target of what's gonna make you happy, and then also have a stop. And if you lose so much money, you're comfortable with losing however X amount, and then you get out, and that is what it is. So, um, I know the S&P had kind of pulled back a little bit. I wanted to keep this video short. Yeah, we'll probably get back here. I mean, there's an area that wasn't retested right around, say, 4,100. That's only 30 more points. Maybe we get that tomorrow. But yeah. But I appreciate it, and thanks for watching.